Hey everyone, how you doing? So, I'm doing something just a wee bit different on here. Just a wee bit different. Normally I upload VODs from my YouTube channel. Excuse me, from my Twitch channel to YouTube. But I decided, I want to do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And that is a One Piece leader tier list. Pre-OP08. Since we're still getting reveals for OP08 right now, I figured, based off what we have from Starter Deck 1 all the way up to 3D2Y, I'm just going to go over all that. And I'm trying to be as accurate as possible in terms of what came out before what. So the Uda promo here came out before OP01. Do know, I have no idea when the hell this thing came out. So I'm just going off of what I am just gonna guess. But other than that, I think I am as possibly right as can be. And I'm going with all tarts in here because I'm classy. So criteria here is best deck. Name explains itself. Top tier amazing, meaning decks are super close to being the best deck. And you could probably argue and say, oh, this is one of the best decks in the game. Nah. It's just that close. Like, it just needs a tiny bit more support in order for it to be considered one of the best decks. Good deck is, it's good. You know, you might be able to get a win or two at a regionals because the deck is just good. And then barely locals level, pretty much in a nutshell, your pet deck, you bring the locals, that may be janky as hell. It's all, like I said, barely locals level. And then would not even bother, meaning decks I would just not even consider at all touching, looking at, or playing. And then banned is, well, leaders that are banned. In that case, let's just put you up here. There you go, Sokka, right where you belong. Good old Sakasuki. Good old Sakasuki. So let's begin. It's gonna be fun. So we got Starter Deck 1, Straw Hat Crew, Mono Red Luffy. The very first red deck in the game. Who could transfer a Rested Dawn to a character, if I'm not mistaken. And this is probably one of my favorite red leaders in the game. Like, I'm not even a red player aside from maybe Odin. But it's just such a simple ability that it's just going to be barely above locals level. Because why bring this Luffy to your locals when you could just play something like Zoro? Like, come on now. Like, it's good, simple ability, generic. But you don't ever see anyone play this damn thing anymore. Only if you want to be Mimi. Maybe, but that's about it. And then we got Useless D Mid. I would argue and say it's good right now. Mainly just for one fact. The Supernova support that came out in EBO1 and OP07. Cavendish, Basil Hawkins, hell, a drop mid from OP01. Come on now. Use that effect, drop down to Bartolomeo, play a Rosinante. Like, kid has quite literally aged better than Luffy. Plus, this leader right here is just also really good for sealed format. It's just really good for sealed format in general. Like whenever there's a sealed format going on for a new set, you're gonna see people playing Kid, considering the fact that he's just generic. A restander, plus like I said, Cavendish is a card. This makes using Kid's effect much more worth it. They use it like more than once. But because of Kid's aging going well, the least cannot be said about Crocodile here. Crocodile. When they were designing leaders for blue, I think they got purple mixed in with blue. Because Crocodile's effect requires you to return 3 Dawn to your Dawn deck. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a cool leader, but you're not gonna see anyone rocking mono blue Crocodile anytime soon. Like, yeah, he has new Baroque Works support from EBO1, but he's just not worth playing. Because if anything, you're gonna use it for Blurple Croc, but that's really about it. So just would not even bother looking at or using. It's a cool card, but that's all I can say. And then you got ST4 Mono Purple Kaido. Come OP08. This leader's probably more than likely just gonna be getting some play because of cards like Black Maria, Rush King, etc. Plus that 10 drop Charlotte Lidlin and Kaido. That's the deck's new boss monster right there. With the second one being Rush Kaido. But it's just one of those cheeky barely local solo decks in my opinion. That that can see play here and there if you just want to do something super casual and fun. But for right now, that's really about it. And then nextly we got Uda here, but not even bother because her effect requires you to use vanillas, and it mostly just gives it 2000 power for tapping one Dawn. I mean, maybe for a time it was okay, because, well, there wasn't really any good choices for leaders outside of Luffy. Assuming this promo released before OPO1. If it released in the middle of OPO1 format, or maybe a little bit after, whoops. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to say it released before OPO1. And then now we move on to OPO1. The set that started, well, truly started it all. First off, we got our boy Roronoa Zoro, Mr. Lost Man himself. And this deck is good still. It's playing the same build with very little changes to it. Like, if I'm not mistaken, now they play Kid and Killer. But this leader is still good. Because, well, you don't need to play Straw Hats with it. Because this effect only gives 1000 power to everything. Just for one Dawn. Completely generic ability. You could probably play generic red good stuff with the leader. And still do well. The deck requires thoughts, even though you're dropping down like a million weenies. But also mainly because black is the thing. So this deck does require you to actually think unlike before. But that's about it. Deck is still good though. I mean, if Worlds is anything to show for it. And this leader, I'll keep saying, the deck is still good. Move on next, we got Mono Greed Odin. You know, the leader got just a little bit better with EBO1. Would not even bother. I like the leader. I think it's a cool effect. And when it came out during OPO1 format, it was not a bad leader. Not bad. But it just got severely outclassed by other decks. And by his own retrain, Red Green Odin. Like, come on now. You don't see anyone playing Mono Green Odin unless you're playing a super low tier leader format. And like your locals or something. Or if you just want to be super casual. But as it stands, Odin here is just not very good anymore. Odin continued to be boiled. Odin did not get boiled just for this leader to be bad. And then we got Blurple Kaido. Come OPO8, this leader will be much better. But for post OPO7, I'd say it's barely locals level. Because I forgot what it does even. Let me look it up right quick. Let me look it up. Because Starter Deck Kaido lets you take a life from your opponent. What does Blurple Kaido do? I thought I remembered it, but I didn't. Let's see. Purple Kaido. Purple Kaido. And then we have let's see here. When the dawn once per turn, dawn 1. Your turn once per turn. When you're let's see here. When your opponent's character's KO'd, okay, never mind, it's a good deck. Sorry, Kaido. Sorry for my insubordinates like that. KO, get a free Dawn. Good card. And also mainly because OPO5 gave this version of Kaido a lot more support. Don't take ulti lightly now. That ulti that came out of that set's fucking cracked. And the next sleeve we got here is Red Green Luffy would not even bother. All he does is that he stands I think it's a supernova or a straw hat and gets it plus 2k. Oh, okay, he's restanding the guy and making him bigger. What's so bad about that? I need to tap 3 Dawn. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And when all this supernova support started getting revealed, people were coping, saying that this Luffy's really good now. And yeah, just the supernova stuff helps it by 0.01%. But if you're gonna play Red Green Supernova, just play Law. Like, come on now. And then nextly, we got Blurple Croc. Right here, barely locals level, but only because the Baroque work stuff is that we got in EBO1 and OPO4 kind of helps this deck a bit. That's all I'm gonna say. And then Law, Red Green Law. One of the best decks for, I think it's 3 booster sets in a row. Maybe 4. But it's still a good deck. EBO1 gave it support. OPO7 gave it a lot more support. OPO5, got the Nico Robin. That could KO something if I'm not mistaken. It's still a good leader. It's still a good leader. You're gonna have a good time if you play this, if you know what you're doing. Builds are the exact same as they've always been, with just some slight tweaks. Like the Kid and Killer and all that. But this leader is still good. It can take games. It can do well at the regionals if you don't fight black. But nextly we got Dofi, and this deck is hot take. I say this deck is amazing right now. Because EBO1 and OPO7 gave 7 Warlords of the Sea the best support it could have ever asked for. Plus, this particular Dofi is getting a starter deck. It's going to be coming out in the, I think it's 6 simultaneous starter decks that were revealed at Worlds. And so, well, Blue Dofi was one of the leaders that was going to get the support. So right now I'm just going to say it's a top tier amazing deck. The best Warlord deck you could probably play. And then nextly we got King. Let's just put you right here because this card just goes against the entire game plan of purple. Because his effect is that if you have 10 rested Dawn, or excuse me, you just got 10 Dawn in general, you give all your opponent's characters, and I think their leaders as well, minus 1000 power. Okay, that doesn't sound too bad. That actually sounds insane. The problem is, you need to have the 10 Dawn on the board. You need the 10 Dawn on the board, which means you cannot do purple things. You cannot. You can't do purple stuff. Otherwise this leader just becomes a vanilla. Ugh. King did not need to have an alt leader art that goes this hard on such a garbage leader that people every once in a while will cope over and say, oh, this leader's actually good now. And maybe it'll be slightly playable come OPO8 because of that insane Black Maria card. But for now, nah. Not Chief. This leader just isn't it. And nextly we got Film Shanks. Let me put you right here where you belong, buddy. What this Shanks does, it came out in the 5th starter deck that I think was just more of a cash grab for Film Red. Because this Shanks art, I know all my leader cards here cut off faces, so Croc looks like it doesn't even have a face. Neither does Kid or Shanks. But what this leader does here is that by returning 3 Dawn to your Dawn deck, all your film characters get 2000 power. Not even Shanks gets power, just your characters. And for an expensive 3 Dawn, 2. This leader is trash. Purple film is trash in general. Ugh. It could have been so much better. And nextly we got the first ever Sakatsuki leader. And I'm putting you right here, where you belong. Because what this leader does is, you tap 3 Dawn, you trash a card from your hand, and you KO a 0 cost. All that investment just to pop one thing. It isn't even at the least two things. Could have been that. It could have at least been 2 zero costs. But no, Bandai was so scared of Sakasuki reigning supreme in early black format that they just had to put that all those heavy restrictions and costs on it. Hell, he got so angry, he decided to be black and blue. A dangerous combination. Oh shoot, forgot to put the promo Sakasuki remake on you. Which is this Sakasuki, but instead of the draw, you just pitch a navy -1 something. But if I was putting that Sakasuki on there, it would be right here. It would be barely above playable. Excuse me, it would be not even bother. Or barely local level, because there is a Warlord version of the deck. So yeah. But this Sakasuki here would not even bother. The remake of this, which is the errata, just because it can do the 7 Warlord things, because it still has access to all the Blue Navy stuff, it would be barely local level. So now moving on to OPO2. Oh, this was a game-changing set when it came out. Introduced black to the game, properly introduced black, that is, unlike this trash right here. Well, a good chunk of the cards in that starter deck are not even trash. They're pretty good. Hina, Garb, Marineford. I think that's it. But the proper introduction of black was through Smoker. First off here, we got Ivankov. Impel Down. And only because of EBO1, it's barely local level. It's a hard deck to maneuver, but it draws a lot. And Eva here got a lot of good, support via just all the Impel stuff down. The Inazuma, the guy with the gun that tried to kill Eva, but Ivankov turned him into a woman. That shit was funny as fuck. Yeah, it's a pet, barely local level deck. There's just nothing to it. And then here we got Whitebeard. Let me just put you right here. Whitebeard right now is good. And just like with Dofi, he's getting a starter deck as well. Which at the same time will give us Ace support at the same time, because Whitebeard Pirates in red. But Whitebeard is making a dominant return. And he's doing really good right now in Japan, from what I've seen. And he's still a really just solid deck and game plan. He is pretty much One Piece's very first helmet head deck. Because you start with 6 life, and you're just taking cards from your own life, thus filling your hand. The core of the deck, I believe, is still the exact same, with some minor tweaks to it. But this is pretty much red as red can be. And then next here we got Smoker. I'm gonna get some looks. But I'd say Smoker's a good deck right now, just because of the nature of black. Smoker was my true first deck in the game. Technically, my very first deck in the game was Kid. But I took that shit apart because I didn't know what I was doing. But if you asked me what my very true first deck is, what deck I actually consider to be my first deck in the game, way back when, it was Smoker. It's such a cool leader, bro. I pulled the alt art and everything, but that shit got stolen. And I still cry about it every night. But he was a control deck. He's a control deck. Gets 1000 power. If there's a 0 cost on the board for 1 Dawn, he gives something -1. And he's just a slow control deck. Old classic black decks, in my opinion, are the best. And just because, well, he doesn't require navies or anything like that, you could build him any which way. You could do full navy, or you could do black good stuff. The leader is good. And just like with Whitebeard and Dofi, he is also getting a starter deck, and I'm looking forward to it. Magellan here, it's a local solo deck. So yeah, it is purple and everything, and purple's a really good color. But it's just a I'm just punch you really hard type of vanilla type of purple deck. Just like with Ivankov, he is an Impel Down deck. But his just gives him 1000 power if a Dawn is returned to the Dawn deck. It's a fun deck. And he did get better with some of the purple Impel Down stuff. Mainly the Jailer Beast that has Rush. But that's it. It's still a local solo deck in my opinion. So it's gonna be right here. Next we got Kinemon. Kinemon is also a local solo deck. Like, Kinemon's effect is insane. Be able to play a Wano character that's a 3 or higher for 1 less Dawn? Bro, that's an insane card. That is insane. But if you look at something like, compare him to something like Odin? Compare him to Odin? Like, Odin's the better Wano deck. But just like with Odin, Kinemon promotes a full Land of Wano deck. And I think that's pretty neat. But it's still a local solo deck at best. We can maybe take a game at a regionals if you're unprepared for it, but that's about it. And then Sanji, let's just put you right here, buddy. The very first green-black deck in the game. And trash as well. His whole game plan revolves around you playing a whole deck of almost nothing but vanillas. Because when you play a baseless effectless base character, I'll just say vanilla just for Yu-Gi-Oh terms. If you play a vanilla, you withstand 2 Dawn. Like, that's pretty cool and everything, but it requires you to just play vanillas. And yeah, my locals does have a guy who plays green blue Sanji, but that's just because he doesn't like spending money on the game, so he just plays this because it was like bulk price. So he is pretty damn scary with that deck. But the deck itself is still bad. But it's just the level of jank that I like in this game. The next up we got Zephyr. And he's also a local solo deck. Because, well, this effect is crazy. Not once per turn, be able to KO, I think it's like 4 or less. And get 1000 power. Become OP08, this leader might be better. But he's not the type of Navy deck you'd want to play just at regionals or anything like that. Locals, yes, because everyone's there to have fun. Unless they're trying to prep for a big tournament, then they're gonna go out for blood. But it stands Zephyr, in my opinion, is just a local silver deck. Depending on how OP08 goes about, it could be a good deck at best, maybe, but right now he's just local silver. And then nextly we got red, black, garb, and I'm not even gonna consider it. Considering the color combination is just so weird. Red and black. Like one wants a minus power, and the other wants a and the other one, it just wants a minus cost. It's so weird. Like his effect is great. Being able to, I think it's he gets a dawn if something's KO'd, but he just doesn't have anything going for him. I mean, yeah, you could just play full black with some red events like a Radical Beam or a Fire Fist or something like that. But just as a coherent deck, it's not worth playing. Starter deck Big Mom. Starter deck Big Mom. Fun fact, I accidentally bought this at my locals because the person working there misinterpreted what I had to say. And Big Mom here, I actually have to read what this thing does. Just like I did with the Kaido. Dawn 2, when attacking, add one card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand, 2 or less life. You know what, just because this is the nature of yellow, I'm gonna put her as good. Just because of the nature of yellow, and just how unbalanced that color is. Like, Bondi really needs to check yellow. Like yesterday. But this leader's still good. This leader's actually pretty good. I actually like the leader because you can get 2-3 life, maybe even more. And also, if it's yellow, it's probably gonna go in good or higher. And then we're back down to locals level with Black Luffy. This leader has a really good effect. When something's KO'd, get a free rest, get a dawn. It's good. You could just play black good stuff with the deck. The starter deck he came in was trash, but the leader, I can't decide whether I want to put it in good or barely locals. I'll put him in good, actually. Because that effect is actually really good. Because that effect is really good. Unfortunately, I know I just mentioned yellow, but Yamato just isn't it. You need to be at 2 or less life to even be able to use her white beard type effect to be able to be at 6,000 power. It's not a good card. Oh man, and I was so looking forward to this starter deck, man. The art is just so fucking beautiful. The effect is so cool. But it's just not good. And then you got Rob Lucci. OP03 Rob Lucci at that. And that's a right now. Oh no, I wish, but no. And he's a good leader. A multi-hacking leader that got much better now because of all the new Cypher Pole cards. Stussy, Tempest Kick, Uh, I think they played. I think the new Kaku, because it's a 2K. Like, the deck got much better. Dare I even say the new character Lucci. The leader is good. He's good. That's all there is to it. It's just good. Yellow Black Big Mom though is a locals level deck because it's a defend the castle type deck. Because you're constantly dropping down like a bunch of weenie blockers, like Fukuros and all them. But to be able to get life, you need to be at 1 or less life. You can put 2 Dawn under and then tap 2 Dawn. It's just too convoluted. But it is a locals level deck at best. And at the time of making this video, Katakuri is literally one of the best decks in the game. It's just the perfect yellow leader. It's literally perfect. Because when asked, oh, what yellow deck should I play? It's like people will immediately tell you Katakuri. Why play any other yellow leader where you could play Katakuri? Like, he just has no downsides at all. Gets 1000 power, lets you peek at life, lets you rearrange it a little. It's one of the best, it's literally one of the best decks in the game right now. Maybe until June when Reject gets banned. But even then, it's still going to be, but for right now, it is the best yellow deck in the game. And then nextly, and this is a hot take, but Iceberg is a good deck right now. EB01 and OP06 gave this deck some of the best support it could ever ask for. Reiju is a fine example. And EB01 gave us the new Galley Lost stuff. The Khalifa, I think it gets back 2 stuff from the trash to your hand. Plus she's a 5 cost that could be played off of Iceberg's effect. And Blue No. Oh my god, that Blue No. Being a Monster Reborn is just insane. Being a Monster Reborn for the deck is insane. So Iceberg right now is good. Nami right now, Nami is good. Game plan for Nami has always been the exact same. Get your deck down to 0 as fast as possible. Drop down all your annoying events. It's Nami. What else could I say? In 07 you either do a 7 Warlord or a Kuja Pirates engine. But other than that, it's still Nami. Nothing else to it. It's annoying as fuck to fight, but it's still a good deck. Requires a lot of brain power, but also in a way the deck kind of plays itself. Oh, Captain Kuro, I'm so sorry, my boy. You're not worth it. You gotta rest 2 of your East Blue characters. You gotta tap 2 Dawn. Or is it 3? I think it's 3. Yeah. Yes, it is 3 actually. You gotta tap 3 Dawn. Yes, he can restand. Yes, you do get the rest of 5 or less, but the leader is just not worth playing. East Blue as a whole is just terrible. I'm sorry. It's just terrible. And then nextly, we got Donut D-Ace. I'm gonna put you in... No, not there. Local level. The deck can do a lot of things. But it ain't topping. If it tops, it's a surprise, but... It just isn't. it's just not doing too good right now. I'm sorry. The new ace, blue-yellow, is much better in my opinion. So there's to it. It's a crazy deck, but that's about it. And nextly, we got my boy Arlong. And the only reason I'm putting him in good is because, simply because of the fact that he is yellow. And because of all the new Fishman stuff that released in OPO 6. Rush Hody Jones, Kami, the 4-drop Arlong. The deck is good. The deck is good right now. It's not amazing or anything, but it's still a good deck right now. Because it's just such a versatile deck. Kikunojo is crazy. Rush Hody is Rush Hody. That's all I need to say. 4-drop Arlong. Tell my opponent's leader you can't attack. Rested one, that is. It's just good. That's all there is to it. And then we move on to OPO 4. And Queen, I'll take. Queen's a good deck. It's still a good deck. This is a true definition of a defend the castle type deck. Game plan's always been saying, drop down the weenie blockers, bring out the Yamatos and the Mihawks and all that. Get your life, increase your life every turn. Drop a lot of 2Ks, drop down a lot of 2Ks. It's a good deck. You don't see it really do anything, but right now, but it's I believe it's a good deck, especially because they got access to Sanji. And then green purple Dofi. It's another local solo deck. Film Dofi is crazy, but it's not the powerhouse it used to be. The only thing that keeps it in there is just because it's not really doing anything. I'll move it on. Purple Yellow Croc is also a local solo deck. It can test some of the newer decks, but that's about it. The whole win condition is you get your guys out, put some veggies in life, and get out your 9-drop Croc. Or 8-drop. It's 8 or 9-drop one. The one that could get you life. Vivi right now is a good deck. Mainly because it's just become a Oonga Boonga beat you hard with a giant guy deck. And also her effect is still crazy. It's still a crazy card. Be able to draw and give something rush? Yes, please. And that's just the thing Vivi players take advantage of. Just being able to get a free rush and dropping it down and put your good guys, because well, our leader doesn't attack. Who cares if we use All Right On? She's not gonna be attacking anytime soon. And also they got access to cards like Gravity Tiger Blade Axe or whatever it's called. Ugh, that card's toxic. Rebecca, I'd also say it's a good deck right now because of all the new Dressrosa stuff that came out. The card that's Rebecca's mother, it's not to be messed with. Also, 7-drop Luffy, 7-drop Luffy, and Orlumbus and Kyros are still monster cards. Get the Corrida Coliseum out and the Kyros out, and your opponent's gonna have to fight for their life. But just like with Vivi, she cannot attack. But still good. It's still good in my opinion. The Nisho. Bandai literally forgot this leader existed the same day they made it. Man, he got nothing. Why was he even in the set? He got nothing. The only things he has to his names are 8-drop Corazon and the vanilla Kobe. The vanilla Kobe and the 2 versions of Green X-Drake, man. This deck got nothing, man. This deck has nothing. Yeah, you can play a lot of black stuff and some green shit, but as a strategy, he ain't got shit. He ain't got his own support or nothing. Bandai, where's my Green Navy cards? Where's my new Green Navies? Anyhow. 3 captains. Real quickly, we're gonna put Law in best deck right now. Law can just adapt. Law adapts to any situation. Law can adapt to any situation. Because the core is pretty much the same. The Gordon and the Raise Maxes, when they drop them, oh my god, you're gonna have a bad time. And the fact that Law doesn't even need a bottom decker guy, they could just shambles out a new guy, like the Rush Soros or a Shachi and Penguin or a Beppo or anything like that. Man, this is one of the best decks right now. It's a scary deck to fight against too. The fact that 3 people in my locals play this damn thing. But it still deserves its spot. And then red, purple Luffy. It's a cool deck, but I would consider it a locals deck. I think I found a spot for it on here. Maybe I can get onto here. Where the fuck did I put? Where the fuck did you go? Where the hell did this thing go off to? Oh, there you are. So many Altons, I get confused. This leader is good. It has a cool effect. It's literally meant to bring out Gear 5 Luffy. It does have just a lot of purple and good purple and red stuff to his name. But if you're gonna play Luffy, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I don't really ever see this deck do anything. Well, you know what? Considering the Gear 5 stuff, I'm put him in good. I will put him in good just because of it. And how quickly he could Dawn Ramp. Goodbye, useless D-Mid. Your trash-ass self. The fact that this leader starts with 4,000 power and you have to put a Dawn back just to give him 2,000 power. Disgrace. Because all his support sucks. I'm not even gonna go off and talk about him anymore. It's too depressing. It's too depressing. Bella Betty is good right now. Just because of all the new Revel stuff that's been coming out recently. The Yellow Sabo, the event from that same deck. The new Dragon. The promo Koala. And also because of the fact that Bella is yellow. So that's really it. Bello is a good deck. It's a hard deck to manage. It's easy to play, hard to really manage. Because if you lose your guys, GG for you, I guess. But it's still a good leader. Just because of all the new revolutionary stuff that's been coming out. Nextly, Enel. And he is one of the best decks right now. Especially after EBO1. Raigo. The card that E-Telly's out a 7-drop Enel from your trash or hand. The fact that this thing can... You have to hit it sick. You have to hit it that he doesn't die. Because then he gets a free life back once per turn. It's just one of the best yellow decks in the game. I I'd even argue and say after Reject gets banned, it will be the best yellow deck in the game. Just because it's the most removal heavy yellow deck in the game. Well, next I got Corazon. This leader is just trash. Yes, it's cool because it's cool that it's a blocker, very on character for Rosinante, but having a cool effect does not stop it from being unplayable. Yes, it's navy and blue, so it has access to all the blue navy stuff. And just a bunch of blue good stuff. It just sucks though, man. And I've coped on this leader so hard, and I pulled the alt of it too, and the alt baby 5 character, man. Man, why couldn't you have been better? I might get flack for saying this, but Purple Luffy. But only because the support, the Straw Hat portion sucks. And it's like, why would I play Luffy as my purple deck when I could play something like a Magellan or even Law? Or hell, if you want to play a purple Luffy, play red purple Luffy, because at least you can ramp to gear 5 super fast. Now, just like with Katakuri, oh yeah, Katakuri's game on the starter decks too. So just like with Katakuri, with Smoker, with Dofi, he is also getting a starter deck. And I just pray they fix up every issue with the deck and give him actual good support. Because art this sick should not be wasted on such a mediocre leader. And speaking of mediocrity, we got Sabo, red, black. It's a locals level deck if I've ever seen one. Yeah, it saves a guy, and you can literally loop it with some with something like a Shariah, but it's a locals level deck if I've ever seen one. There are multiple ways you can build it. You could build it the revolutionary way, or you could build it the defensive wall build with a ton of blockers. But it's just one of those leaders. It's not worth playing. It's not worth playing at more than locals level. Nextly, we have Uda, green Uda. And I'd say this is an amazing leader. New Genesis being essentially a zero cost searcher, being able to add film cards to your hand from when it's attacking by looking at the top card, by revealing the top card of your deck. The card I'm Invincible. The fact that they also play 8-drop Kid. This is an amazing deck right now. Plus, it just got access, at least in English, to 2-drop Blue Note, the chump blocker, and Sanji. The 2K counter gets. Ignore that sound. That's my phone dropping. 2-drop. What was it called? Okay, the Sanji, that's a 2K counter. I think it's stronger. I think it's for every card in your hand. I think it's for every film card in your hand. I don't remember. Or it's like everyone. Anyway, the deck is still really good. It's still amazing in my opinion. Plus, just like with every other one I mentioned, it's also getting a simultaneous release starter deck. So we're going to see what else we get. So we're going to see what Bandai has to cook up with Uda. And next up, we got the Seal Battle Luffy, but I'm only putting it with not even bother because that shit is too expensive. OPO6. At the time of this video, the current mainline booster set. EBO1's the side set. So in terms of main core booster sets, we have OPO6. We'll start with my boy Hody Jones. And he's a good deck. Simply because they got access to Fisher Tiger. They of course have Hody Jones the Rusher. Daruma, which is a multi-attacker. Dolson, which protects himself from battle. And it's just a scary deck to fight. You let Hody fill up his board and he's going to be a menace to take care of. Yeah, he loses the black super easily. But the deck is good. I promise you, the deck is good. And he's just a versatile defensive aggro deck. And like I said, did I forget to mention Fisher Tiger, which is a pseudo rusher that lets you attack an opponent's character plus rest of 5 or less on play? So if you need to get rid of a blocker, you could do that with Hody. You could do that with you could do that with Fisher Tiger. Plus in addition, this leader can rest a Dawn. That's insane. So yes, Hody Jones is a good deck. And next up, we got Uda, and I would not even consider it. It's like Bandai just purposely went out of their way to make any film color that's not green into this unplayable garbage. And look, it's fitting. Father and daughter in the same column. Man, this could have been the perfect bridge between red and purple film. Because there are good red and purple film cards. Raise Max, Gordon, Bueno Fiesta, Ein, Douglas Bullet, both Douglas Bullets, the Negator and the Double Attacker. Like, there's good cards in red and purple film. Well, not to mention the blocker Uda. Man, the deck itself just needs so much more. Oh, Bandai, you don't have to be afraid to give Uda good support. No one's going to be mad if you make this Uda good. Next we got Perona, and I'm going to say Nambuya over there. She is an amazing deck in OPL 7. They got Kid. Ryuma's a hell of a card. Got access to all the different Navy stuff. Can rest the 4 or less. The deck is just amazing. It's incredibly versatile for what it does. Well, if you don't, since everyone's more used to finding Gecko Moria, this leader, at least I believe anyway, can steal wins. Can take some wins. Nextly, we got Reiju. And let me move you, not there. Also right here. The whole engine with the Germa 66 stuff. With all the Germa cards. Is good. The HGs are good, which is a rusher. Yonji's annoying. Niji returns things to hand. Plus Judge, if you could get Judge off, is really funny. Plus, potentially you are drawing 3 cards a turn. With this effect, plus the character Reiju effect, and plus they now have access to Blocker Sanji, which can be played for 3 less cost. I think it's if you have less or equal Dawn to your opponent. So this deck is still incredibly versatile, which is why I'm putting it in Amazing. Then Gecko Moria, let me get you further. Oh yeah, it's just barely local silver. No. The best black deck in the game. How quickly this leader can fill a board up is obscene. It's literally just blink, it's here. Double Absalom, Borsalinos, Blocker Sabos, Shindri, drop down, Shindri mill 5, Hawkback, get more cards. Well, this leader is just cracked. This is literally one of the best leaders in the game. This is one of the best decks in the game. Gecko Moria is literally the best black deck in the game. Now we got green, yellow Yamato. The game, the card, the people, including myself, thought was the most unbalanced thing ever. And it's a good deck. It's a good deck. The issue with it is that it's a glass cannon. Yes, you get double attack. But the trade-off is your Wano cards have no counter. You're playing mostly no counters. Yeah, there is the Fortress Yamato, which is the best variant considering you're dropping out 1 to 2 8-drop kids. Like drop it down like Mode and Rosanate, while smacking your opponent in the jaw because you don't care, and being able to transfer Dawn if your opponent's at 2 or less life. It's just absolutely crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. But at most, she is a good leader. A good deck, at most. Zoro and Sanji. It's just locals level. That's it. It's a cheeky, gimmicky type deck. Yes, it lets you attack with a guy again, but it's only really good if you... Well, I'm just going to retract my statement because I don't really know how good this deck is. Aside from being able to make something with 7,000 or more power, be able to attack again. But also what I do know is that there are multiple variants of the deck. There's the basic Zoro Sanji version. There's also the Zoro or the Sanji version, i.e. which of the 2 bosses you want to play. And then there's the 7 Warlords version. Be able to restand Ever Weevil is crazy. And then we move on to the current starter deck in English, or in this case, Ultra deck. 3 Brothers. And as of right now, Ace is a good deck. Ace is a good deck. But he doesn't become really, really amazingly good until 07. Because right now, he got Viola. He got access to Viola, which is a really damn good card for the deck. A chump blocker, plus being able to put my cards, plus being able to put my 5 costs I put in my life face up off of Ace's effect. Oh god, yes. Plus, this card has access to be able to use Queen Mama's Chanter to be able to get back your face-up card in your life to your hand. So let's say you put a 2k counter in there, and you activate Queen Mama's Chanter by resting her. you can take back. You could take the 2K counter and put it in your hand. Yes, Queen Mama Chanter is a really good card in the deck. You don't have to put a 3-cost character in that life. You can just do the Bolded Party effect. But for right now, it's good. 07, it becomes way better. And you know what? I'm gonna put you in locals, because we're not in 07 yet in English. Nah, fuck it. I'm just going to include 07. And then moving on to Luffy, it's an amazing deck right now. It's an amazing deck. Simple game. No, not one of the best decks. Yeah, Luffy, you're getting ahead of yourself. It's an amazing deck. It wants to get down to 0 life really quickly. Be able to put 2 Sabos in life in your life and then bring them back by dropping down 2 other Sabos, by dropping down 2 Kid Sabos and making a Luffy 9K? Oh my god, that's insane. But it's not one of the best decks. But it's still an amazing deck, nonetheless. And then Sabo, I'm just gonna put it in good because of the new Revolutionary Army stuff that came out. The dragon is literally the the godsend of the deck. Plus, you can do all kinds of cheeky things, such as putting Rush anti-block Luffy in life by making his power 7,000, playing the Kid Luffy, going down, bringing him down for another Rush turn. And that's pretty much just the game plan. Make Sunday 7,000, put him in life, let your life stack up. But also, because he's a Revolutionary Army, there's a variant of the deck that uses just the Revel cards. The Revolutionary Army build. Which I happen to like, it's my second version of the deck I play. But I also play just the Rush version mostly. And then moving down, we got OP07. And yes, I know the order of this is off. But I did this because it's the current product release in English. OP07. I started with the Boa Hancock. She's just a worse 7 Warlord deck, but she's still really good. She's not amazing or nothing, but she's still really good. So I'm just gonna put her in. I'm gonna put her in good because she is. Be able to draw cards. The 6-drop Boa is an obnoxious card. Yeah, this would be good. 7 Warlord. Just play 7 Warlords version. If you don't have access to Dolphy, just play 7. Just play Boa. One has titties and one doesn't. And then you got Bonnie. Let me just put you at when I Bonnie. No. Into one of the best decks you go. The fact that she is the most green control deck ever is outstanding. And there's 2 versions you could play the deck. There's the Supernova version where you play the HR Kid, but then there's the version I'm testing out, the Don Quixote version. Plus, if your opponent, Bonnie's gonna be resting something on the opponent's turn. You're gonna be messing up their tempo a bit. Just because of all that. Because of the amount of tempo change she could do. She is one of the best decks in the game. She is the best green deck in the game. And then Mr. Looking East himself, Oh no, he's banned because he's too busy looking east. No, I'm just joking. Dragon. Why'd you know that's actually kind of wrong. He's a good deck. He's a good deck. Just because he's a better version of Starter Deck 1. Oh, look. Father and son. He's a much better version of Starter Deck 1 Luffy. Because instead of 1 Dawn, you can transfer 2 Dawn. Woo! Plus, in addition, he's got the whole Revel package behind him. Also, sorry about the image here. This was the best one I could find compared to the others. It's just hard finding a man who looks east all the time. But he's just the best version of the Revolutionary Army to play. Bello is the best. Is probably the 3rd best. The 2nd best because she still has access to all. You can still do trigger shit. And Savo's probably the 3rd. The dragon, I'm just gonna say, is a good leader for now. And then Vegapunk. Vegapunk. You're a barely local silver deck because you start with 2 life. You're a leader who cannot attack. And yes, you can drop cards down on the. Yes, you can drop cards down, but you really just want to fill your life up. But the thing I like about him is that he's a soft reboot for what yellow is. The 3 brothers started doing that, but Vegapunk is a true embodiment of the self reboot of yellow. So just focusing on life manipulation. Or the life manipulation instead of a million KOs and just trying to bring out 10 mom. I fought a good chunk of Vegapunk decks. It's just a local solo deck. At best. Then you got Foxy, who is the same thing. So you got Foxy, who's the same thing. Now don't get me wrong. Foxy is a crazy deck. Because his non-once per turn slow beam is fucking absurd. It's annoying and I don't like it. But he's not gonna be winning any regionals anytime soon. So he's a local silver deck in my opinion. And then we got my boy, the man himself, Rob Lucci. One of the best decks in the game. The most combo cypherpole deck. You blink and he's got a field and your field. He's got a field and you don't got a field. And the thing that makes this Lucci so good is that, unlike with this Lucci, you're filling up your trash a lot better. You're minusing things quicker. You're getting cards removed from the field much quicker than with this Lucci. Because with this Lucci, you're mostly going to be doing that KOing yourself with Lucci's. With attacking the character itself. But with this Lucci, you're quickly getting costs down higher to be able to KO things. Which was the issue with this Lucci. You weren't getting costs down quick enough because you couldn't KO. And once 3D2Y Luffy releases in English, there's no point in even playing this Lucci because we'll have this Lucci. And nextly, here we go on to EBO1, the most current set released in English. And we're gonna go with Odin and top tier amazing. This goddamn deck, having a leader with Whitebeard stats half the time, and even more when you drop down Newgate, is annoying to deal with. They got Denjiro who could restand on, Izo who can minus power when the opponent attacks. They got Hiyori, which can draw you a card by trashing her and play a 5-cost green land of Wano card. It's just an amazing deck all around. Plus in 07 they get a new searcher in Green Otama, who's also a 2K counter? Crazy. Plus this Odin lets you use your no counter land of Wano cards as a counter? Are you kidding me? That's stupid. So he's an amazing deck. Could not be said though about Hannibal. Man, he was supposed to be the bridge between blue and purple Impel Down. Be able to get a Dawn as active by returning a 2 cost or higher Impel Down. It's just not good, man. It's just not good. You're gonna play Impel Down leader? Just play Avon Coffer Magellan, man. Just avoid Hannibal like the plague, man. I'm sure one day he'll get a timeless spotlight, but for now, nah. Chief just ain't it. And I'm also gonna put the same for Kuros. Mainly only because a lot of the Dressrosa stuff I believe requires the Rebecca leader. And to really get use out of this Kuros, your opponent needs to have a 0-cost character on the board. It's classic black brought back in this incredibly slow deck. I mean, he's good with Celestial Dragons at least, but that's it. And then lastly, 3D 2Y Luffy is good. This changes the way black plays by adding costs instead of reducing costs. The stage is annoying. The fact that they ups 1 to every character. It's super easy to get a card up to 8 cost, so Luffy can have Whitebeard stats. I found like 6 to 10 of that damn thing on the simulator today. I'm like, and I said, I have misjudged this deck completely. Like, holy shit. This deck is going to be scary to fight when it comes out of English. That's all I gotta say. And that's the whole tier list, man. Let me know what you all think. This was me just being completely honest. And so, that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all do your own One Piece tier list. Anyway, I'll see you then.